Hi everyone, I'm Amber, the disgruntled moderate, and I'm here to talk to you about a subject I didn't think people were going to be talking about, but they have been, and so now I feel the need to discuss it, or to address it, or however you want to put it. And two things I should tell you first. I much prefer Bernie Sanders to Hillary Clinton. I don't like her very much. However, I am a feminist, so despite not liking her, I tend to get a little ticked off when people are, it's one thing to object to her policies or things that she's done. It's another thing to kind of rip her down because she's a woman. If you're a woman too, you probably know what I'm talking about. Even some of you guys might have a clue too. But the thing I wanted to talk about was the Democratic debate, in which what people are saying is Bernie Sanders interrupted Hillary Clinton. Now I watched part of that debate. I say part because as a moderate who doesn't like politicians, you can imagine how sitting through an entire political debate makes me feel. So I did not watch the whole thing. I did, however, see that part of it. And the way people are describing it has kind of left me wondering, were we watching the same thing? Now, I'm probably not the only person who feels this way or noticed what I noticed. But it was Bernie Sanders' time to talk, because they take turns in debates. That's how they work. And Hillary interrupted him, and then he shushed her. Now I know it's really easy for human beings to have a knee-jerk reaction to something. And for my fellow feminists, it probably would have been very easy to have the knee-jerk reaction of old white man just shushed a woman. But the whole point of feminism is that we're equal. And if we're equal, then the rules apply to both of us. Both groups of us, men and women. So the rules apply to both Hillary and Bernie. So if we're going to say that Bernie can't interrupt Hillary, then why can she interrupt him? And like I said, she's the one who interrupted him in the first place. That was pretty clear. In fact, he's very carefully, from what I've seen out of what little I have stomached watching, as well as clips on various comedians' shows, because I much prefer watching comedians make fun of politicians than having to watch them on my own. I will admit that. He hasn't been interrupting her. Even when she's been saying some pretty, I don't want to say provocative, because I don't know whether her intention was to provoke him into interrupting her or not by saying these things. But saying some kind of nasty things about him to the point where the look he gave her a couple different times was the same look that I'm familiar with from one of my cats after I give him his flea treat medicine. Yeah, you flea treat a cat and they can give you a pretty nasty look. And he gave her that look a couple times when another politician might have interrupted her. In fact, the Republican debates, they're interrupting each other all the time. And he hasn't. So I was expecting, nobody to even really notice it. I wasn't expecting people to go, oh my gosh, she interrupted Bernie after he's been so kind to her and not interrupted her. I wasn't expecting anybody to be like, point that out. But I certainly wasn't expecting people to be like, he shushed her. So, like I said, I think it's been a knee-jerk reaction. And even if you're a hardcore Hillary fan, I think you need to take a breath, take a step back from your knee-jerk reaction, and take a look at what actually happened. Because if you're a Hillary fan, then you're going to have objections to Bernie Sanders on policy. Object to that. Don't object to him shushing her because she interrupted him. And to be honest, if I'd been in that debate and she interrupted me at the point where she interrupted him, I would have shushed her too. With a finger like that. Because it was just this pointer finger if you didn't watch it. Because I would have been pretty fed up and grumpy. So, I mean, that debates kind of bring grumpiness out in people. So yeah, that's all I really have to say, but I'm sure I'm probably not the only person who's pointed this out, but I was kind of surprised that none of the comedians I watched even pointed it out. I was like, really? Nobody's pointing out the fact that she interrupted him? Really? So I guess I just wanted to point out what actually happened, since everyone's knee-jerk reactions seem to be becoming the narrative of what happened as opposed to what actually happened, even though we have it on video. Seems to happen a lot in politics. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. If you sat through that whole debate or any whole debate, I commend you. I can't do it. And hopefully this, if you're like me and are kind of sick of all the just pointing fingers in politics, hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Obviously, no man should be interrupting Hillary Clinton. If she's making a point, that's not my point at all. It's just, you don't get to interrupt people either. Show him the respect he's been showing you, not because of gender, but just because it's the right thing to do. It's manners. So, have a good evening or day or whatever time it is while you're watching this, and I'm going to stop rambling on. I have no idea how to end this video, can you tell? So I'm just going to say bye. Bye.